There's a stretch of Route 50 between Clarksburg and Salem that your neighbors drive every single day. They know where the curves are because they've driven it 100 times. And when the fog rolls in and visibility drops to nothing, they drive it anyway. Now here's the question I want you to sit with. What would happen if you were on that road tonight and someone came over the hill in your lane? Most people have an answer ready. They'd say, I'd swerve, I'd brake, I'd figure it out. Wrong. At 55 miles per hour with zero visibility and no shoulder to swerve onto, you have about 0.4 of a second to react. That's not enough time to avoid a collision. West Virginia has one of the highest car accident death rates in the entire country, 34% above the national average. In 2023 alone, 260 West Virginians died on state roads and highways. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly why and how that happens. And by the end, I'll tell you what that means for your case if you've already been in an accident here in West Virginia. But first, I need to stop you because most people who hear West Virginia has one of the highest death rates in the country already think they know the reason. And most of them are wrong, completely wrong. The national ranking and what it actually tells you. Now here's what most people think. West Virginia roads are dangerous because of the weather. Ice, fog, snow. That's the answer everyone reaches for. Wrong. Weather is number 4 on this list, but I will get to it. If you think weather is the main reason people are dying in West Virginia roads, you're going to miss the 3 factors that are actually doing more damage. So what is the number that actually tells the story? It's not total fatalities. California and Texas have far more total traffic deaths than West Virginia, but they also have a lot more people and thousands more miles driven. The number that matters is deaths per mile driven, and on that measure, West Virginia consistently is at the top of the worst performing states in the country. A 34% higher death rate than the national average means that for every mile you drive here, you are significantly more likely to be in a fatal crash than almost anywhere else in America. That's not a perception problem, that's a data problem. And data problems have causes. You might say, Tim, I've driven these roads my whole life and I've had no problem. While that may be true for you, it hasn't been for every other person whose family has called us after a crash. Experience makes you less afraid of the road, but it does not make the road safer. Those are not the same thing. Now, let's get right into it. Here's the factor that actually tops this list. Mountain roads built for a different era. Most of West Virginia's road network was built on ridge lines, through hollows, and along creek beds because there was no other practical route. These roads are narrow, they have limited sight lines, no shoulders or berms to speak of, and steep grades that punish any lapse in your concentration. A curve on a rural West Virginia county road that was manageable for a 1970 pickup at 35 miles per hour is a completely different situation at 55 miles per hour in a modern day SUV. The road didn't change, the speed limits in the vehicles did. So who absorbs the risk? You do. Every time you drive it. And here's what makes it unforgiving in a way most states simply aren't. When you run out of road in West Virginia, there's frequently nothing between you and a serious drop-off. Oftentimes there's no guardrail, no rumble strip, or no runoff lane. Just the edge. You might say, Tim, at least I know where the dangerous spots are. Well, maybe, but knowing where the edge is doesn't avoid it being dangerous to drivers. Factor number 2, infrastructure that was built for a different century. West Virginia's road infrastructure funding has lagged behind population need for decades. A significant percentage of West Virginia's bridges are rated structurally deficient or functionally obsolete, among the highest rates of any state in the country. Rural roads get maintained last. Guardrails that should have been replaced years ago are still there, or sometimes even gone entirely. Bridge surfaces that haven't been resurfaced since the 1980s still carry daily traffic. Potholes, cracked pavement, faded line markings on dark mountain roads, these are not inconveniences. They are the causes of accidents waiting to happen. But terrain and crumbling infrastructure don't explain everything, because the next factor is one people actually see coming and still can't avoid. as well as coal trucks on roads not designed for them. West Virginia's oil and gas, as well as coal economy, puts heavy commercial vehicles on rural roads that were never engineered for their load or their size. A fully loaded coal truck on a 2-lane road with no shoulder in Boone County or Logan County creates a specific serious hazard. Now, these vehicles take up most of the lane. When they drift even slightly, where do you go? Well, there's nowhere to go. How about these heavy water trucks going to and from gas well drilling sites? When one of them loses brake pressure on a steep grade, which does happen, the outcome can be catastrophic. Trucking accident cases are significantly more complex than standard car accident cases. Commercial vehicles have black box data, logbooks, and maintenance records that have to be reviewed. Also, there are potentially multiple liable parties: the driver, the trucking company, the loader, and sometimes the company that maintained that vehicle. These cases require immediate action to preserve evidence before it's overwritten or even lost. You might say, Tim, I just stay out of the way of those trucks. Well, good, but factor 4 hits you even when you're doing everything right. Weather that amplifies every other problem. Now we get to the weather. Black ice on mountain curves in January. Dense fog that drops visibility to near zero in the hollows. Flash floods that come off the ridges faster than any warning system can track. Wet leaves on unlit rural roads in October that make you feel like you're driving on ice. These are not rare events. These are seasonal realities every West Virginia driver navigates. And when weather hits a road that already has no shoulder or no guardrail and aging pavement, what's the margin for error? That answer is 0. There is no margin. And here's the piece most people miss when it comes to their case. Weather conditions at the time of your crash are evidence. They can establish road negligence. The weather can also complicate the analysis of who is at fault for the crash. The circumstances of that road and that weather are part of your case, not just background noise. But the weather only reaches the top of the danger scale because of factor 5, which can turn serious accidents into fatal ones. EMS response times, the gap that determines survival. In Morgantown, Charleston, or Beckley, an ambulance might reach your crash location in about 8 to 10 minutes. But in rural West Virginia, depending on where you are, the nearest EMS station might be 25 to 45 minutes away. The nearest trauma center might be an hour away. For traumatic injuries, internal bleeding, brain injuries, spinal injuries, survival rates drop with every minute of delayed treatment. West Virginia's geography and population distribution mean that people who would survive the same accident in a different state are dying here because help couldn't get there in time. Your neighbor who drove off Route 50 at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday in Clarksburg, he might have made it. In rural West Virginia, that 40-minute response window was the difference. You might say, Tim, what does any of that have to do with my case? Well, it could have everything to do with your case. Injuries in West Virginia crashes are frequently more severe at the time of treatment than they would have been if medical care had arrived faster. And that severity matters to your case value. Insurance companies know exactly that, and they still lowball you anyway. What this actually means for your case. Here's what I need you to walk away with. The dangerous roads, the aging infrastructure, the oil and gas trucks, as well as the coal trucks, the weather, the delayed EMS response. Every one of those factors makes West Virginia crashes more severe than crashes in safer states. More severe injuries mean higher medical costs. Higher medical costs mean higher potential case value. So why are settlements in this state running lower than average? Because insurance companies exploit those individuals who are often desperate to settle their injury case. So you have a state where crashes are more dangerous than average, injuries are more severe than average, yet settlements are lower than average. That gap between what cases are worth and what injured people actually receive, that's where the real damage happens. But it's all preventable. If you've been in an accident on a West Virginia road, the factors that made that crash more severe are part of your case. The road conditions, the infrastructure, the response times, all of it is relevant. get an attorney who understands that and who will use it. Now that you know why West Virginia roads are this dangerous, the next question is where. My next video covers the specific roads and counties with the highest crash rates and what you need to know before you drive them. The link is right above me. If you've already been in an accident and need to understand your options, call our office. The consultation is free.